political lawyers for civil parties to put questions to this witness. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon to all of you. It's my colleague Chet Vanny that is going to begin the examination of this witness. Thank you.
President, you may now proceed. Civil Party Lawyer Chet Vanny. Good afternoon, Mr. President, Your Honors, everyone in and around the courtroom. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. My name is Chet Vanny. I am one of the civil party lawyers. You clarified some points yesterday, this morning, and last week. However, I have some more questions to seek your clarification. First, I wish to focus on Kampong Chnang airfield. After you arrived at Kampong Chnang airfield, who was responsible for your units? And who was there to receive your units? President. So, President, please be sure that you are asking about Kampong Chnang airfields, not Pojantong airfields. Counsel. It is actually the Kampong Chnang airfield, and this morning you stated already about Kampong Chnang airfield. I would like to know, when you arrived at Kampong Chnang airfield, who came to receive your units? Witness. Upon my arrival, I saw no one coming to receive me and my units. However, we were told to stay in our respective units. I saw no one coming to receive me and my units. Counsel, thank you. How long were you working at that work site? Answer. I worked at Kampong Chnang airfield for a certain period of time. I could not give the exact months, but perhaps I was there for 3 or 4 months. Lawyer, thank you. When was it? When were you there? Answer. It was in 1977. Lawyer, when you were there, where was the Kampong Chnang airfield exactly? Where was it? In which sector, which district? Witness. I know that the airfield was in Boribo district, Kampong Chnang province. I do not recall the zone. Lawyer, thank you. I would like to know about the surrounding areas of Kampong Chnang airfield, particularly the sleeping quarters. Were there already quarters built for workers there? Or did workers sleep in inhabitant houses? Witness. We did not stay with inhabitants. We were told to stay in our respective units. Female worker, they lived in their female units, and youth unit, they had their own location or sleeping place. As for inhabitants, they were not allowed to come and live a mingle with us. Lawyer, thank you. You stated this morning that Cham was responsible for your unit. Besides Cham, who else was above Cham? Answer. It was Nyo, as I indicated earlier. Cham was responsible for me, and he was responsible for the platoon. Lawyer, thank you. Have you ever heard the person by the name Talaway? President, please wait. Mr. Witness, please observe the microphone before you give your answer. Witness, I heard the name Talaway. However, I have never met him or seen him personally. And as for another individual, said counsel, his name was Med. Did you know this person? Witness, I heard of the name, but I never met the two individuals personally. Lawyer, thank you. Did you know what their position were? Witness, I have no idea what level they were at. And as I stated, I have never met the two individuals. Lawyer, this morning you stated before this chamber that you were assigned to clear the land or compact the soil. And you stated also that you knew the place where the aeroplane was hidden. And where was it? Are you referring to the caves? And where was the caves? Where were the caves, rather? Witness. During that time, I was tasked with clearing land and compacting soil. The caves were to the south of the airfield, and I asked them what the caves were used for, and I was told that the caves were used to hide airplanes. Lawyer, thank you. Concerning the airplanes, what kind of airplanes did you ever see? Whether they were military airplanes or civilian airplanes that you have seen? Witness, I never saw any airplanes, but I was told that the caves were used to keep and hide the fire jets. Lawyer, so why? You know the reason why they hit the airplane? Was it for battlefield purpose or was it for civilian purpose? Witness, as I stated, I never saw any airplanes. The purpose of the caves was to keep the airplanes to fight against Vietnam. Lawyer, I did not hear your answer at the end of your statement. So which country are you referring to? Witness, I would like to confirm again the purpose of the caves was to keep the airplanes to fight against the Vietnamese. Lawyer, thank you. You were one of the laborer at the worksite, said lawyer, and I would like you to tell the court, beside ordinary or manual workers, were there any technician workers at that worksite? Were there any engineers? Witness, thank you. Yes, there were engineers from China. Lawyer, thank you. You stated also this morning that you were sent to Kampong Chnang airfield and you were there for refashioning. I would like to seek your clarification in terms of refashioning. What do you mean by refashioning, re-education? Were you there as a prisoner? Witness. I was sent to Kampong Chnang airfield and I was one prisoner among all others. I was relocated to that place for tempering, and we were there to recorrect ourselves. And if we could be able to correct ourselves, we would be okay. But if we could not correct ourselves, we would remain as prisoners ever. Lawyer, thank you. You also said about the working hours. And you mentioned about the individualism. What do you mean by that? Witness, there is a principle from them, and as I stated this morning, the nationalism work and the individualist work, they mention about the two areas. We were told to grow vegetables such as the winter melons. Lawyer, at your work site, were there differences between the workers who were responsible for light work and heavy work? Answer. In terms of working condition, it depended on the units. Some units were tasked with the drilling section or rock blasting section, and some other units were responsible for clearing land or compacting soil. I could not get all the information at that time, and I knew only what happened in my unit. Lawyer, I would like you to make a clarification concerning the machineries, heavy machineries. Where all those machineries are brought from? Witness. As for the heavy machinery, they were brought from China. Tractors, soil compactors were all brought from China. Lawyer, thank you. What about the rock or gravels for building runways? Where was it taken from? Witness. The rock was taken from the mountain south to the airfield. It was about 30 half kilometer away from the airfield. Lawyer. To get the rock, how did they do? Witness. Thank you. They drilled and they put the explosive, and there was the plasting machine to explode the rock, and after that the rocks were brought onto the track. Lawyer, thank you. Coming back to the work that you conducted at the work site, did you face many difficulties, and was the work there difficult for you? Witness. I was relocated to work at the airfield. I did not have enough food to eat. The work condition was very difficult. I did not have enough sleep. And for the drilling units, they faced many fatal accidents. Some of the workers fell off the place where they climb up to break the rock. So there were many fatal accidents, and as I stated, I faced many difficulties while working there. Lawyer. When there were accidents or when there were fatal accidents, how did the supervisor do to those who got injured or suffered from fatal accidents? Witness, thank you. If accidents happens at the work site, the injured or the one who died as the result of their work would be buried. Their bodies would not be taken out anywhere. Lawyer, what about the sick? Were there any medics at the work site to treat the sick? Witness, thank you. For the sick at the work site, there were medics, mobile medics in the units to treat them. And the sick would be prescribed with medicine or with injection. And because there was not effective or sufficient treatment, some died. Lawyer, thank you. President, please turn on your microphone. Lawyer, were there many people dead because of the work or the illness on a daily basis? Witness. During the time that I was working at the work site, not many people died on a daily basis, and some workers got injuries because of war or because of the work. They, as a result, died. But as I stated, they did not die. The worker did not die every day. Lawyer, thank you. You stated this morning that when they were sick, the sick would be transported to be treated. Did you ever see the sick who were sent for treatment back to the work sites? Witness. The sick would be transported to somewhere. They were gone, never returned. And as for my units, and I asked why the sick would not return to work, and I was told that they went to work in different units. Lawyer, I want to ask you about the living condition. What was the food ration like? Could you eat freely, and how was your food ration? Witness, I would like to inform the chamber that the food ration in my units was put in the boiling pot, and the big pot was divided into 4 parts, and each could get our part in that container. And as for soup, we had soup with morning glory and with a little fish, and the soup was rather bland and not salty, and we experienced many difficulty in the period, and I do not want to recall what I have gone through in the period. My relative and I endured the regime, and I was relocated to many places, and I experienced many bad things. That is why I could not forget what happened to me, to all people in Cambodia who lived through the period. Lawyer, I would like to seek some clarification from you. Did people die because of starvation or exhaustion? Witness, yes. Yes, some people died because of starvation. After they did not have enough food to eat, so they fell sick, and some of them were accused of pretending to be sick. And it was said that the sick, some of them pretend to be children. And if people got sick, they did not receive enough food to eat. And for example, one would receive 1 can of rice to eat, but when they fell sick, they would receive only half of the can. Lawyer, thank you. You stated this morning as well that people died because they fell off the rock or mountain. Did they commit suicide, or was it the accident during the time that they were working? Witness. When the people were assigned to drill the rock, they had to climb up the mountain, and they at that time was not able to hold firmly to the rock, and they fell off that mountain. They died because of this. They did not commit suicide. Actually, they were working very hard in order to survive, but unfortunately, they died. Lawyer, you stated this morning also that people will walk to the south of the airfield, and some of them were put on track. Did you frequently see this kind of incident? Witness, I did not see such incidents frequently. It happened once in a while. people were brought into the woods or forest near the airfield in Boribo district, the place where people were killed or executed. Lawyer. And what time were those people brought to that place? And were they all tied up, or were they all thrown up onto the truck? Witness. They were all tied, their hands were tied behind their backs, and after that they were thrown up on the trucks, and they used the truck or vehicle was fully covered so that no one could see, and people would be brought away at 10 p.m. at night. Lawyer, Mr. President, this morning you said that we had 30 minutes for the afternoon session. Could we request 10 more minutes? Lawyer, I would like to move on to the cleansing. You mentioned that Nguyen was arrested, and it was allegedly said that he betrayed the Angka. And as well, you had been affiliated with Nguyen. And what did you know about Nguyen? Witness. I did not know about the plan that Nguyen had. I did not know about the acts of his treason. And for me, I was committed to serve the army. And as for Nguyen, I did not know whether he had any plan to betray Angka. At the time, I was told that my superior betrayed Angka, and from that time onward, I realized that Nguyen was accused of betraying Angka. Lawyer, thank you. I would like to read your document ES 19161, Eon in Khmer 0020 598, English 0087 6521, French 0089 26 64. You stated, Nguyen was my superior, and he has the wisdom to build up the internal forces. He was called Khmer Saw, and he encouraged to have another movement. So you mean that you were removed to work in Kampong Cham, and I was in a unit, and I was sent to Kampong Cham. And after Nguyen and Tuch had been arrested, the information was leaked. And after that time, they found that you had been affiliated with the superior. Is this your statement? Witness. I think what you have just read, it is true. And Nguyen wanted to create a movement to fight again and liberate the democratic Cambodia. Lawyer, thank you. You stated this morning as well that you were played with the radio recording, and you stated also that you heard the confession in the radio recording, audio recording. Is it true that the voice in the audio recording was Eun voice. Witness, I indicated this before the chamber already. I listened to the recording. The recording was played at that time. And as I stated this morning, it was his voice. I could hear some of the content. And I also stated this morning that he did not say very clearly in the recording. Perhaps he was tortured at that time, and the voice was very low. And to my belief, perhaps it was his voice, but as I stated, I did not know the content of the recording. Thank you.
Question. This morning, in your response to the co-prosecutor, you said that you mainly worked as a soldier center in Phnom Penh, and in 1975 you were stationed to get a radio station. You also stationed at Bang Troyap and at Tul Kok. So while you worked as a soldier in Phnom Penh at these various locations, what did you see and what did you do? Answer. I stayed in Phnom Penh and I did not have any major roles to play. However, my duty was assigned to clean up the city, to clear the rubbish, for example. And in Turkok, my duty was to go to Tumnop Kopsrau and Bang Troyap to do rice farming there. Question. Also, this morning you said that your station or your base was near Wat Phnom. Were you aware of a distraction of the Catholic Church, which was located near a hotel within the vicinity of Wat Phnom? Answer. No, I was not aware of that. And I did not know their intention of destroying that Catholic Church. Question. And did you know the reason for the destruction of that church? Answer. I only saw it, but I did not know the reason behind the destruction of that church. Counsel, please turn on the microphone. Question. And did you know which particular group or which division which was in charge of dismantling that church? Answer. I did not know from which division soldiers were deployed to distract that church. During the regime, we were not allowed to ask any details of anyone. We were strictly prohibited from doing that. And I only saw them destroying that Catholic church. Counsel, Mr. President, I don't have any more questions for this witness, and maybe my international colleague may have a few supplementary questions to put to the witness.
네.
President and the lead co-lawyer, do you have any question?
I would have a few questions to ask, but I believe that we went well over the time that was given us, and therefore I will leave it to the chamber. I have two very precise questions to ask.
Je comprends, Monsieur le Président.
I understand, Mr. President, that I may ask my questions.
Merci.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. I am Marie Guibault. I am lead co-lawyer for the civil parties. I have two very brief questions to ask you in order to put more precision into your testimony. You told my colleague earlier that you had spent 3 months on the Kampong Chhnang airfield, the construction site. I would like to quote an excerpt of your statement to the DC CAM investigators. And so when they asked you how long you spent on that construction site, you had said 1 year. This is document IS 19.161, ERN in Khmer 00020577, English ERN 00876495, and in French 00892646. The question I wanted to ask you now, Mr. Witness, on these two different versions, one that that is in your DC Cam interview in which you said you spent a year in Kampong Chhnang, and what you told my colleague earlier where you had rather spent 3 months. Which is it? Do you remember? Does this perhaps refresh your memory?
Thank you for your question. In the document that you read out, I said that I actually said that I spent 1 full year at the Kampong Chhnang airport work site, and I confirmed by that statement.
Well, thank you. My second follow-up question, and that will be all from me, is the following. You told the prosecutor this morning, and I will quote as I wrote them down, you said that you saw Kusampon and Yengsari once in Phnom Penh, and you said that you had seen them but from afar. Could you tell the court when you saw Phnom Penh, when you saw Yengsari and Kusampon from afar?
I saw them when they were traveling in their cars, and the unit was assigned to provide protection to them, and I was told that in that vehicle, in another vehicle, it was Yengsari or Akil Sampon.
Did you see them? Or did someone tell you that it was they who were in the vehicles that you had to protect?
I actually saw them with my own eyes.
Pouvez-vous
Do you remember where exactly it was in Phnom Penh? And around what time would you say it was?
At that time, I was in Phnom Penh, and I was near the vicinity of Wat Phnom, and then the force was deployed to provide protection near the central market along Prachetapatai Boulevard. And when the convoy of vehicles approached, I saw Khieu Samphan and Ieng Sari. I was at a distance, and now when I see him in the court, he looks much older than when he was in that vehicle when I saw him last time in Phnom Penh.
Dernière question pour aller au...
I have one final question. How did you recognize them at the time?
I knew him because my peers actually knew him, and they told me that person was Khieu Samphan and the other person was Ieng Sari, and that's how I came to know about them.
I will stop at this point, and I thank you very much for the extra time that was given to the civil parties.
President, the chamber now hands the floor to the defense teams. First, to the defense team. Rather, I noticed that Judge Lavenge wants to have the floor. You may have the floor, Judge Lavenge.
Mr. Witness, I have a few brief questions to ask of you this afternoon. You said that you were a soldier in Division 310. Was Division 310 numbered Division 1 before? Does this first division or Division 1, does that ring any bells to you, sir?
Yes, I heard about Division 310, which was subordinate to Division 1 in the North Zone.
Donc, at first your division came under the authority of the North Zone. Is that the case?
Yes, it was under the authority of the North Zone.
Was there a change in leadership later on? And was Division 310 no longer under the authority of the North Zone?
No, I did not hear anything about that. I attached to that division for quite some times, and after for the liberation of Phnom Penh, divisions from the East Zone stayed on that side. As for divisions and soldiers from the North Zone, we stayed in the North Zone. However, I did not know if there were any reshuffling or restructured of related divisions, and that's all I know.
Est-ce qu'à un moment, on a...
Was Division 310 ever under the authority of the Center or the Central Committee?
The Division 310 was actually a brigade under a direct authority of a division in the North Zone.
Il me semble
It seems to me, in your statement before the investigators OCIJ, you mentioned Division 310 as being a Central Committee division. So I will ask you the question one more time. Did you hear at any point that Division 310 was put under the authority of the Central Committee or the Center after the liberation of Phnom Penh?
Yes, I heard that Division 310 was a central division, but stayed in the North Zone. That's all I know, that it was a central division.
And so it was geographically located in the North Zone, but under the hierarchy, it came under the center's authority. Is that what you are saying, sir?
That division, the divisional center division, was announced that that division, soldiers from that division could be deployed to any battlefield without restriction of zones, as it belongs to the center. That's how I knew about this.
Was this announced to you during a meeting, or how did you find out?
The announcement was made official that previously our division was stationed in the zone. However, later on we were under the direct authority of Division 1, which was under the direct authority of the center, and that soldiers from our division could be deployed anywhere within the country without the limitation of the zones.
Did you hear of the creation of a new division, which would have been created from the Division 310, which would have the number 207?
I only heard about it, and I did not have any communication or contact with that division, so I did not know anything about the affairs or the functioning of that division. It was a newly formed division from what I heard.
And was Division 207... Did Division 207 replace Division 310? And when did you hear about that?
From what I heard, it happened in 1975, but I cannot recall as to when exactly. It happened many years ago, and that is my best recollection.
I would like to ask you a few questions about the security center that you mentioned this morning and earlier. The security center that was located near Wat Phnom. Can you tell us, if you know, under whose authority this security center came under? Did it come under Division 310? Did it come under North Zone or the center?
The security center located near Wat Phnom. I did not know actually which division or zone administered that security office. I only heard about it. And I only saw it physically, but I did not know at which level or which division supervised that security office.
If I understand correctly, this security center was created shortly after the liberation of Phnom Penh in the year 1975. Did I understand correctly?
Yes, that is right.
Do you know, sir, which types of enemies were arrested and sent to this security center?
I actually asked discreetly some of my peers, and I was told that those who were detained there were cooperative chiefs or district chiefs. These are the two types of categories that I learned of about those who were detained through my discreet questioning of my peer soldiers. So let me repeat. They were at the level of cooperative chief and commune and district chiefs.
Were you told if at the time among those who had been arrested were former military or former public servants of the Lon Nol era?
I only knew that some of them who had been arrested were arrested regardless of their previous positions or backgrounds. However, they were alleged of having affiliated with the former regime, or they were the cooperative chiefs or district chiefs who were alleged of having that connection.
When you say relations, does that mean that they had a role, either a military or a public service role under Lon Nol, or they had a family relationship with people who had been soldiers or public servants under Lon Nol?
They were alleged of having connection with the treacherous network. They could be cooperative or deputy chiefs at the cooperative level, at the district level, or at the sector level. Once the chiefs of the relevant levels were arrested, then the deputies or them would be accused of linking to the treacherous network, and their family members, as a result, were arrested too.
Est-ce que vous avez une idée?
Do you know how many prisoners were held in that security center?
No, I did not have the figure of the prisoners who were detained there. It was fully enclosed and I didn't have access to it. I only saw it from the outside. So the figure is out of my hand.
ឆ្លើយតែប៉ុណ្្នឹងសូមអរគុណ Ce matin vous avez
This morning, you told us where this security center might be. I'm not sure I understood correctly, but I seem to recall you said it would be in front of the Comet Hospital. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what I said. It was not exactly opposite the Comet Hospital. It was a little bit to the north. And that's what I said this morning.
Est-ce que
Was it perhaps closer to the Choi Chang-hwa roundabout, the roundabout that allows us to go onto the bridge to Choi Chang-hwa?
It was to the south of Choi Chang-hwa Bridge.
I would like to ask you one question about Bang Praya, this the place near Tulkok where you were sent. Do you believe that you were sent there to be refashioned, or was it for another reason?
I was sent to Bang Trayap in order to be tempered, to be refreshened, to become a good person.
And how long after the liberation of Phnom Penh did this happen?
I was sent to Bang Trayap to engage in rice farming, as well as to clear the water there and to clear the hyacinth there, and I worked there for 1.5 months.
So was it a little while after the liberation of Phnom Penh? So when you were sent to Kompong Shnong, were you working at Bang Prayat, or had you come back to Phnom Penh?
I was sent to Bang Trayap. I was being transferred to Kampong Chnang after I actually was sent to work at Bang Trayap.
So when you were sent to Kompong Shnang, were you working in Phnom Penh back then, or were you working in the rice paddy at Bang Trayat?
No, I was not stationed in Phnom Penh. I actually was working at Bang Trayap.
And if you were to compare the working conditions, the living conditions between those at Bong Prayat and Kompong Shnang, can you tell us if it was worse in Kompong Shnang or if it was easier? Can you tell us something about this?
In terms of the working condition, the hardship in these two so-called battlefields was similar. I mean, there was insufficient food, there was inadequate sleeping quarter, and the nature of the work was heavy. So the condition is similar in both places.
And did you also note at Bong Prayat that there were people who had been arrested and who disappeared?
Answer: when I was at Bang Prayat, the arrest happened quite often. The situation changed at the time. What I knew is that people disappeared, some names disappeared, and I did not know the practice implemented at Bang Prayat concerning the arrest.
And do you know if there were other rice paddies, other places where soldiers of Division 310 had also been sent to work in the rice paddies in Tulkork? Did you ever hear about rice paddies in Obak for example?
Answer: I was in Division 310. I never went to Obak I went to Long Krongan, Khmuin, Kop Sreu, Vil Sromok. These are the places that I went to. And as for Obak I never went there.
And did you stay at the Kompong Shnang airfield site until 1979? Or did you leave that work site at some point in time, and then where did you go?
Answer: I was there until mid 1978, after which I went to live in Leang. I was told to live in Leang after mid 1978.
And what were you doing in Leang? What were your duties there?
Answer: I was relocated and sent to Leang. I did nothing there. I was there as an ordinary citizen. I was transferred from Kampong Chnang to Leang, and I was told to climb up the mountain. So I was there as an ordinary citizen. They were afraid that I would join with the forces of Vietnam. they were afraid that we would take arm against them at that time.
So, in order to be clear about this, you were never sent back to a military unit to go fight the Vietnamese at the Vietnamese border. Am I correct?
Bác,
Answer: No. No, never. I was only transferred from Kampong Shnang to live as an ordinary citizen in Om Leang. They were afraid that I would take arms against them. They were afraid that I would take a revolt against them and join Vietnamese forces because they knew that I had been affiliated with elements.
Witness, on the case file we have a document which is an interview that you gave apparently to the DCCAM representatives, and regarding a significant number of points you made contradictory statements in regard to the statements you're making today. So are you aware of this?
bácខ្ញុំ
Answer: I know that I do not get all the point right as stated in the document you mentioned, because the interview was conducted a long time ago, and I admit that I would give some contradictory information because of the time passed by.
Well, I'm sure the defense will put a few questions to you with regard to these diverging answers. I have no further questions, witness, so thank you for the answers that you were kind enough to provide to us today.
បាទអរគុណ
President, thank you. It is now time for a short break, and the chamber will take the break from now until 3 o'clock. Court officers, please find a proper place for this witness during the break time, and please invite him back to the courtroom at 3 o'clock. The court is now in recess.